Day 2 of round 2 of Ferrari Challenge North America 2025. You can see the cars down there stacked up, about to exit the paddock and get out onto pit road. It's another beautiful morning here in Florida, and we're looking forward to qualifying sessions for Trofeo Pirelli and Coppa Shell, as well, of course, getting into race 2 for each of those categories here in Daytona. We started the season back at Sonoma, a beautiful track over in California, a real roller coaster. Here, of course, the challenge is the banking. And yesterday, actually, the challenge was a bit of contact in the infield, which is where we saw most of the overtaking, but also a few incidents, hoping for less incidents in the racing today and another fantastic qualifying session. We're then going to head down to Miami Autodrome, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen International, Laguna Seca, and, of course, the Finale Mondiale at Mugello in October. Okay, cars are heading out to the end of the pit lane. My name is Andrew Coley. Joining me up in the announcing booth is Tony Villander. Nina Jade Paul is reporting from down in the paddock. Cars are getting ready to go. Let's have a look and see what the weather's like here. It's hot. Not real hot. Locals are telling me this is cool. 25 Celsius is nice for Europeans, isn't it, Tony? You know, we're hot.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful weather to go into the qualifying and also to the races later on today. New day, new opportunity. We have happy drivers from yesterday who want to keep up the form and the good pace from yesterday, but also drivers that had some disappointments, and this is a new opportunity for them.
Yeah, absolutely. The order is different today than it was yesterday. Yesterday, Pirelli went first and Shell was second. Today, it's Coppa Shell first. Trofeo Pirelli is second. They all qualify in their own categories, so there are 4 categories in total. There's a Pro and an AM category in each of those headline categories. So 4 sessions. They don't get very long on track, so they've got to get out and get it done. And one of the things we're still not sure about from yesterday, of course, is you see them doing the tyre pressures on the fantastic Pirelli tyres. But because we had safety cars yesterday, we're not sure on the longevity and how the tyre degradation will go. And we're excited to see full race distance today and find out a bit more about that. Somebody who will be able to tell us a bit more about what's going on down the pit lane is Nina Jade Paul. Good morning, Nina.
Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Tony. Hope you boys are well. There is a lovely atmosphere down in the pit lane today, and I must say, Tony, you hit the nail on the head. Sundays are for fresh, clean slates. You know, some of the guys who had a little misfortune yesterday will be wanting to right those wrongs today, wipe the slate clean. I think some of our drivers found out just how unforgiving this circuit can be. Overtaking, it takes precision and guts. Tyre discipline, tyre management takes discipline, and honestly, winning takes everything. So today is a good day. I'm excited to go racing. Down in the pit lane, the weather conditions are very similar to how it was yesterday. Let's see how today turns out.
Thank you, Nina Jade. It's pretty warm down there. As she was saying yesterday, there isn't much shelter, obviously, for the crews when they're out in pit road. That's why the pop-up shelter's there in the background. That's where the coaches and all the technicians sit when they're doing things like tyre pressures. Tony, tyre pressure, for anybody who might be a complete newbie at home, what's so important about tyre pressure? You know, you check it twice a year on your road car. These guys are checking it every 5 minutes.
Yeah, tyre pressure is very important. It's actually one of the key elements to the performance on one lap, but also then later on today for the race distance as well. New tires, takes few laps to get the shiny part off, to get the grip to the tires, and those are the best laps. So once you are in the last part of bringing up the pressures, or you reach the top pressure, that's when the top performance comes from the racing tire. And yeah, that's when you are off the window. 1 second, 2 seconds might be the difference, and once everything is spot on with the tires, then you might be P1. So tire is one of the key elements. 10 horsepower is important, but the tires are the key.
There we are. Tony Villander, very, very successful GT racer and a Ferrari ambassador as well. Great to have him here alongside me in the announcing booth. Let's take a look at the challenge the drivers face here at Daytona International Speedway as the session gets underway. They have 12 minutes on track, and this is where they're headed. So they roll out from the pits into turn 1, which is a tightening left, through the kinks at 2, 2 hairpins at 3 and 5. We've got the kink at 4, and then the all-important turns 6 and 11, which take you into 7 and 12, the 2 bank turns where high speed is super important. End the turn 12 and the run to the start-finish line, 190 miles an hour. There we are. Rolling out through pit lane. To the left of that, you can see the sections, the kinks through turn 2. Tony, 12 minutes, we're rolling out the pits, they're already down to 11. It's really, really key to get it done as early as you can. We're on board with Melissa Kozira, who I think yesterday, if I remember, qualified 5th. Yes, she did. So that was a great performance from her, and she'll want more of the same today.
Yeah, exactly. I would say these 12 minutes, I would go on track straight away. You have those initial warm-up laps. You have plenty of time to get everything up to temperature. Also, the driving, you need to be ready to go. The thing is to be on track, to post that lap time, because you never know. There might be a yellow flag. We might need to take out the red flag so to stop the session. So you always say that you want to put at least one decent lap time for the timing and scoring if something happens towards the end of the session. You do sometimes go out later than the others, but then also there's a risk of the flow, the moment of posting the best lap time. It might be that the other drivers are already backing off and you run into traffic. So qualifying, that's why I love this format, that each category, each class has their own 12-minute session, is that you have most likely a clear lap that you can really show your performance.
We were following,
and that's what it's all about, the qualifying.
Yeah, we're following Gabe Perrin. Behind him was Fabian Sperman, who yesterday was the pole man in this category. This is Shell AM, so these drivers are the ones who are kind of starting out in their racing career, or not yet progressed up to Shell. Then you got to Pirelli AM and Pirelli. We have had one driver, haven't we, moved up from Shell overnight. The winner yesterday, Ernst Kirchmeier, has been moved up to Pirelli AM, so that kind of shows how the ladder works.
Yeah, that was quite a quick move. I mean, he was on pole yesterday by 2/10, and then the race was interrupted 2 times at least with full course yellow. So we really didn't see his performance against, for example, Mitchell Green, who won both races in Sonoma. So that was a quick reaction from Ferrari's side, but at the same time we respect these changes, and I think Kirchmeier is ready to race today.
Steve Czech was absolutely over the moon yesterday with his P2 in the race. We're looking at Lance Corley now. Steve was on screen just before that. Lance Corley had a rough weekend back in Sonoma. We had a pole, but then a DNF and then a DNS. So it's been tricky for him. Where was he yesterday? Yeah, he's further back. Oh, and we've a spinner. Is that Stephanie Herfield, I think? If it's the Galaxy paint job, yes it is. So Stephanie just with that's a tricky braking zone, and obviously at this point tyres maybe not quite up to temperature.
Exactly, that is going into turn 1, so you come off the banking just before the braking. The track sort of comes down from the banking to a flat surface, and there you need to be really careful. Also the turn-in point where you are on a peak of the brake pressure, so you're loading the front tires and it's easy to get over rotation, so you lose the rear of the car, and I think this is what happened.
Gary Ott is getting into his car. He'll be ready for Coppa Shell, which is the next session out. So it's 4 very quick 12-minute sessions in succession. That's easy for me to say. And we're waiting for times to come up on the board. Actually, we haven't got anything on the timing screen yet, which is unusual. Yes, we have. First lap's just appeared. So Matt Herfield 150.8, and we know that they'll get down a bit quicker than that. So should start to see them appear now in the stack on the left-hand side of your screen. And there we are, Louis Flory plus 7.2, and that's a good indicator that they're not on a flat-out lap yet. Gabe Rib comes in 5.4 off Matt's pace.
Yeah, for a racing driver, when the tires are not ready, there's no point to try to push too much. You need to wait for the right moment, and then you have the peak of performance on a racing tire. So that's why it takes few laps to build up everything with the temperatures and pressures, and then once you feel the grip is there, you don't have understeer or oversteer anymore, then you are ready to go.
It was Corley and Sperman who were side by side on the banking yesterday. We did see some passing. We saw the brilliant pass from Medler in the infield, which we'll talk about when those guys are out on track. And we've been talking to the Kaminsky family as well about the issues that Johnny had when he was leading. Michael Owens comes in 0.078 behind. What we didn't get yesterday, Tony, and what the teams didn't get was as much data as they thought they would get about a long run in race conditions, did we? Because of the full course yellows and the red flags as well. I think some of the teams will still be scratching a bit for that little bit of information.
Yeah, for sure the teams didn't get a clear read on how the car is handling on a full race distance, so 30 minutes. I mean, you still get some indication, but we didn't have many continuous laps almost in any category because we kept having some full course yellow moments, but I still feel like the teams are ready. What is beautiful with Ferrari Challenge is you get many days of testing prior to each event, each race, so you do have time to fine-tune your race car. Obviously, it's a never-ending process as well, so you always keep changing a bit the ride height of the car, something with the dampers, something with the aerodynamic balance. So
Gabe Hribb goes fastest, 1.7 seconds up, nearly 1.8. So that's a decent lap.
Yeah, indication from yesterday, Shell AM pole position was 147.44 from Fabian Sperman. So there's still some more margin, but I think the lap times we see now, we are getting the first flying laps in.
Steve Czech with a gold-coloured car. Steve is currently in P4. It's definitely Herfield who had the spin earlier on, so currently you can see hasn't set a good lap time. She's in P10. What can she do here? Her and her husband are normally pretty close, so still a few seconds off there. And it will knock your confidence a little bit, won't it? A big spin in turn one, but I've been really impressed with Stephanie's pace in the first couple of weekends. Say her and her husband are very closely matched.
Yeah, I mean, a spin early on, it's just a reminder to really stay alert and respect that process of building up the pressures and the grip level. Important thing that there is no flat spots on the tires. Apart from that, if everything is okay, no real lose of performance just based on the spin, so I think she's fine.
So Fabian Sperman, who we're following now, was yesterday's pole sitter. So he was the what did you say it was, 147.4?
Yes.
So 147.4. At the minute, the benchmark's 148.8. So Tony, talk us through this part of the lap now, the banking section.
Yeah, just coming out of turn 6, very important corner, because from there on, as you can see, you go full throttle for a long time. That banking is very special. Every time the first laps you do here in Daytona, you go like, how did I do? How did I go last year here? Because it feels so different. Now we see Sperman is closing on bus stop, entry, some sliding, the rear was coming over a bit. He didn't have a good rotation and good entry to the bus stop. Then again, similar thing, exit of bus stop, very important. As you can see, you stay full throttle for a very long time. So entry of bus stop is important, but mid to exit even more, because earlier you go on full throttle, then you gain in acceleration and in the top speed as well.
So Czech and Corley went quicker, but Sperman has outdone both of them. So we've now got the top 4 drivers separated by 0.04 of a second, which is top 3. So really close. Gabe Hribb's only 0.2 off. Laurie's only 0.5. Patel only 0.6. Patel's in his first ever race weekend. So actually this is fantastic. Where was he yesterday in qualifying? Was 5th from bottom of the Shell AM drivers, and today he's 5th from top. So if he can stay there, Danny Patel could be really pleased with that. What a great place to make your race debut. I mean, I can think of less daunting places to make a race debut than Daytona, but still quite cool when it's your home track as well. My home track, Brands Hatch. I'm pretty equal distant from Brands Hatch and Goodwood. Obviously, Brands more of an FIA circuit. Goodwood is very famous for the historic stuff now, and then Lydden Hill the other way. But that's that's more of a rallycross track. But what about you? I mean, Finland's got the Kimi ring coming, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't raced on the real racetracks in Finland, so my career took me already at the early stage to Italy and around Europe. So funny stories, for example, Kimi, our F1 champion, never raced in Finland, either in single-seaters or at other form of racing on the bigger circuits. Go-karts, of course, yes. And for me, similar situation. Already, not in a super early age, because at the age of 18, 19, I was still in go-karts. But straight from there, my career took me to Italy.
Yeah, that's the hotbed of karting, isn't it, in Europe, which is where all the young drivers head as they're making their way up in terms of career path. The 108 was Melissa Kozira that you were looking at from the outside a moment ago. This is Michael Owens coming through the chicane. I saw Massimo Perina this morning, and he was saying that they were warned by Pirelli, basically saying, look, the curbs, the reprofiling of the curbs, he described them, he said they put turtles in. He said, you know, like the sausages in F1. If you're not familiar, you know, it's a big lump. It'll stop you from cutting the curb. And he said, look, you might get away with it once, you might get away with it twice. He said, but if you're trying 3 times, you're really pushing your luck. And Massimo was saying it just really upsets the car.
Yeah, it is true. Bus stop is an area where over the years they have struggled a bit how to set up the curbs, because if you set them too high and when you're approaching the corner, if you have an issue, then it's like a platform to throw you up in the air, because the speeds they are approaching there. And then the other thing is cutting. So if you take the car just over the track limits continuously, you just keep pulling a lot of dirt to the racing line. So those are the 2 things. One is safety, and the other thing is track limits and respect them.
David Williams in the 128, but I'm just looking at Danny Patel's time in the 187, second ever race, and he's up in P2, just 0.011 off the pole man. Michael Owens, the Canadian driver. Yeah,
great progress from Patel, and also it shows that the second day you can always keep improving, and it's a continuous work with your driver coach, watching the data, watching the onboard videos, seeing the sector times. What is the area? When I was racing, I always had a little bit bigger picture. What are the areas that I'm losing? What are the areas that I need to improve? I rarely went to the micro details. I just wanted to go, is the bus stop, so let me figure it out. Yeah. And then I went from there. So there's different ways to approach how to improve your driving, and everyone is individual in this case. Also, driver coaching is a bit tricky, because these drivers need to adapt. If yesterday they were doing a second quicker, today you need to pace yourself with a different rhythm, different track condition, and if you are braking like you were with the 147.4, you go off track probably, or offline at least. So that's why a driver coach, in my opinion, needs to always advise the driver as well to adapt. Driver needs to feel the race car. If I tell you, Andrew, you need to brake at 100 and it starts to rain, you cannot brake at 100. No. So you need to also be alert to understand how is the track and why today we have yesterday 47.4 and today 48.4, and at the same moment we go 47.4.
Yeah, Michael Owens has gone, it's just nicked a second off it, hasn't he? It's fascinating what you say about braking points. I never competed at the level you have, but I worked as a track instructor for 10 years, and people used to say to me, where do you brake? And I was like, but you can't do that, because it's exactly. When did you get on the power in the previous corner? And if you're going 5 miles an hour, you can have a reference point when you're very consistent. But when you're not very consistent, and some of these guys are still learning, the lap times can vary by a lot, and so will your braking points. So it's
true.
Yeah. F1 drivers can brake at the same place every time, can't they? And top GT drivers like Tony, but they're us mere mortals, I'm afraid. You have to adjust it according to each lap. Louis Flory and Gabe Prieb have snuck into the top 3 there as the checker flag was out. So Danny Patel on his debut weekend drops down to 4th. Fabian Sperman, yesterday's pole man, is 5th. Steve Check, who was 2nd, yesterday's 6th. Melissa Kozira is the top lady driver, and she is in P7. Stephanie Herfield recovered for P11. So, it's another clean qualifying session.
Yeah, good demonstration from our Shell AM drivers, and good pace as well, showing that the track has similar speed when you get everything right. Great performance from the driver Michael Owens from Ferrari of Alberta, and as we saw Paolo Ruperti and the crew on the pit lane being very happy with the performance. So great lap from him, and for sure very happy driver for this Sunday morning.
There we go. Qualifying is over for Coppa Shell AM. Let's take a look at the standings. That man there is the name that you're going to see at the top of the board. Here it is, Michael Owens. So looking back at Michael's results from this season, he had 5th in Sonoma and then 2nd at the second race. That was his finishing positions, but he only qualified 5th and 4th. Yesterday, Owens qualified 3rd. Today, qualifies on pole. So good progress for him. He's gone higher up the qualifying order at every event so far this year. Flory, Hirib, Pratel, Sperman, Czech, Kozira and Corley are your top 8. Then it's Matt Herfield. David Williams, Stephanie Herfield, De Carlo, Chu, Nunberg and Vartugian. No time for those bottom 4 drivers, so potentially some of those drivers have either withdrawn or not got their cars re-prepped from yesterday. Here he is, the man of the moment. Yeah, he's pleased. Good lad. I say P5, P4, and then yesterday was 3rd, today with the pole. So really good progress, and you'd be happy with that, wouldn't you? It's a nice, consistent, and sensible way to progress your season, and to get a pole now is a fantastic result.
Let's go. That was awesome.
There we go. Heard it from the man himself. Let's go. That was awesome. Thumbs up as well. I love to see it. We saw this yesterday. Everybody was so excited by their qualifying results. Gone out first thing in the morning, got it done. You know, yesterday, the end of yesterday was pretty carnage in the races, and you to know that you're going to be at the front of your pack is a fantastic feeling. The Coppa Shell drivers are ready to go in pit lane. We'll get them out on track in just a moment. 12 minutes for them to try and set their quick time. And then once the Pirelli guys come out, I think that'll be interesting, because yesterday we were seeing some of them do very short runs, Tony. They were literally banging in 3 laps, get a good lap time, done, save the tyres.
Yeah, there you can see the difference in experience of the drivers, but also be ready behind the wheel. You don't need for your driving those extra laps. You are just ready to go straight away. And yeah, there you can save probably a few laps on race tires that later on these tires will be used for the actual 30-minute race. So part of the strategy is to post a quick lap time, try to be P1, but at the same time save the tires for the race.
So the Coppa Shell drivers are heading out on track. Nina Jade Paul is down in pit lane with our pole sitter from Coppa Shell AM, Michael Owens.
Michael, you said you turned the AC off. You got an extra 5 horsepower there.
Yeah, we were laughing about that.
Yeah.
That was good for the straights, for the banking.
P1 at Daytona, you've qualified. How are you feeling?
Amazing. It's like the track is so fast. The cars are amazing on it. First time on the banking for me, and my first P1 qualifying, so I'm super stoked about it. It's just a fantastic time, getting deeper everywhere, getting on the throttle earlier, managing the low traction areas. It's a very technical infield. Super exciting in the speed and the banking, though.
Talk us through some of the prep you've gone through to get yourself ready for this.
I have to credit my coach, Paulo Verdi, fantastic coaching, building me up over the course of the days, constant review process after each time on the track has just knocked seconds off the lap times and gained my confidence. So it's an amazing track and a real experience doing this banking at 190 miles an hour or something else.
Well, good luck in the race.
Thank you very much.
Just a great indicator that the coaching process works well. You could tell from what he said before he even credited his coach about managing low traction areas and stuff that he's really been listening.
Yeah, Michael's coach, Paolo Roberti, when I started racing 05 in Italian GT, I was racing against Paolo, and I talked with them, with Michael and Paolo the other day, and they were just, with their experienced driver next to you, it gives you that extra confidence that then you don't lose time and waste energy of thinking things that are less relevant. So you actually spot on to the topic. It's either the braking points or the minimum speed in the corner, or sometimes with the drivers with less experience is a bit funny to say, but they concentrate so much on braking and turning in, they forgot to go on throttle in the exit of the corner.
Yeah.
So I used to have few things on my mind that earlier parts of my career when I went to qualify earlier on throttle, and you could gain so much performance there. And it's great to see. Actual Michael comments the other day was similar. The top speeds are amazing, but also the handling of the 296 Challenge car is just, you can discover so much speed and areas where to improve, and his driving is great example of where you can take it, just obviously believing but doing a good job behind the wheel.
Yeah, fantastic. I love what you said earlier as well about breaking it down. You know, you're breaking it down there into braking or gas or whatever, but also just saying just focus on the bus stop chicane. You know, pick it apart and just choose areas to do it. And I guess the further up the categories you get, the more into the detail you go. So yeah, then you'll get to the point where you're going, look, we're losing a 10th in this corner. Yeah,
it's true, but it's still basic stuff. Even if we carry, let's say, professional drivers a bit more speed into the corners, but it's still basic stuff. Somebody brakes a little bit later and is still able to carry the speed exit of the corner, and then you try to match your teammates or the other drivers around you. So it's still quite similar process.
Osvaldo Gaio out on track. You took a look a moment ago as well at Mitchell Green, who's our championship leader. Yesterday was P2 behind Ernst Kirchmeier, who's been moved up to Pirelli AM. And I was speaking to Mitchell Green's driver coach, Jamie Morrow, and a mate of mine from my instructing days back in the UK, and he was saying they're very much in championship mode. We did discuss this yesterday. Do you go after the guy who's turned up for one weekend and he's having a great time, as you see Chuck Whittle on the back straight, or do you play the championship game? And with 2 wins from Sonoma, it was a pretty obvious choice, I suppose.
Yeah, that shows that they are on the right page, because points make champions. You win championships. So in the end of the year is the final standings, and it's difficult to remember all the details into the championships. You just see the final standings. Now we see one car stopping on track.
Yeah, John Viscup pulled over at the side of the road. Viscup yesterday was involved in a tiny bit of a contact with Jarrett Bilecek.
Yeah, let's see if we get I
yeah.
don't know if we get a red flag, because the car, I think, is stopped around turn 3.
You'd hope, wouldn't you, that if it's possible to move it, Tony's taken a look out of the commentary box window to see where that car is. You'd hope if it's remotely movable.
Yeah, he's moving again. It was in turn 5, and
okay.
he's back in action.
Okay, cool, so he's away again. Might be some sort of a systems reset. Gary Ott is P1 at the minute with a 1:48.1. Yesterday, Ernst Kirchmeier did a 1:45.6. Mitchell Green a 1:45.8. Kirchmeier did that on lap 5. Mitchell Green did it on lap 3. Yesterday, P3 Bruce Cleveland did it on lap 2. With that, I mean, that's a brave old push.
Yeah, to be able to put your best lap time already on lap 2 shows that you really have the confidence with the race car. Normally, I would say between 3 and 5 are the best laps where you can go for it. And yeah, a little bit of variation between the drivers, how quickly can they show their pace.
Bruce Cleveland is coming round to set his first flying lap time. So you'll see where the checker flags are painted over the track just as he crosses the line underneath us. Look for the gantry with the marshal on it, and the time should then pop up. And where is it on our timing screens? Didn't see it that time. Sometimes it can be a transponder issue, so there's a little device on the car, unless it's his outlap. He might have got it, in which case, yeah, we'd have to cross the timing line one more time to set a lap time. So basically, I get a bit techie with you. There's a loop of wire which is underneath the track, and as the car passes over it, there's a small device on the car which triggers that loop, and that's what triggers the timing screens here, and then the graphics that you guys get to see at home as well. So as you go over the line, there you go, and you see Parker goes up a couple of places. But ice creams all over Andrew Parker's car. Very nice. I could have an ice cream.
Yeah, in Ferrari Challenge, yeah, he cut the curb
He did, didn't he?
quite
Yeah.
heavily in turn 2. Yeah, with the Ferrari Challenge cars, we have talked about the liveries over the years, and it's just some really, really beautiful color schemes and really beautiful designs on these race cars. Some designs go even into their golf cart, the helmet, drink
I love
bottle.
that, yeah.
It's been taken to the next level. On the standings, Mitchell Green is really showing his pace, putting almost a similar lap time than yesterday, and shows the confidence level he's carrying into this season with the preparation of his team, Ferrari Westlake. So Mitchell Green, P1 right now.
We're following Evans smoothly into that tightening turn 1. Here's turn 2, where we saw a minute ago Parker just cut the curbs quite hard. And then this is turn 3, where yesterday the exit from here was what made the difference in the Pirelli category. It is, that infield is narrow. It's only about 3 cars wide, isn't it? I keep looking at it and thinking, oh, yeah, I mean, the banking's, what, 4 cars wide in places? Even wider up at start-finish, but the infield is narrow.
Yeah, there's completely different type of corners and different speeds on this track, and the infield is definitely the most technical part. There is some tricks to reduce some understeer or get rid of the power oversteer in the exit of the slowest hairpins. So almost always here stay very tight, so don't lose or do a lot of late apex. Just really stop the car at the inside of 1, 3, 5 and even 6, because the most of the grip is always on top of the inside curb, or just try to be as close as you can. Once you lose that line, then it's very difficult to come back, and you lose a tenth to even 2 to 3 tenths each corner. So always very tight racing line at the infield, and then obviously you need to have a fast race car on the areas where we see now Jan Bernier's car. So when you go full throttle, setup wise, you can gain between 1 to 5 kilometers an hour, how the car is set up perfectly to be really smooth on the straight line, and then not to lose that much on the technical side in the infield.
Jan Bernier qualified 5th yesterday but finished 3rd. He's coming around to set a time. Mitchell Green's done what he did yesterday. He's come into the pits early, that's why he's got a little P next to his name. He's on a 1:46.0. Yesterday he did a 1:45.8, so he only went 2 tenths quicker yesterday, and he was only beaten by Ernst Kirchmeier, who went a couple of tenths quicker. So Bernier would be a threat, but he's 0.1 off. Oh, look, Bernier in Cleveland on the exact same time to the 1,000th of a second. 1:46.230. That is extraordinarily rare to see 2 cars finish on the same 1,000th. Wow.
Yeah, Mitchell Green's team manager is Roberto Amorosi, though. This is very typical strategy.
Oh, really? Yeah.
From the full of energy Italian team manager. So, few laps coming and save the tires for the race.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? He knows, doesn't he? He's going to be close enough to the front of the pack, and with a championship in mind. And talking about championships so early in the season always seems a bit mad, but it's not when you look at the fact he had such a wonderful weekend the first time out in Sonoma.
Yeah, but also early in the season you often see the trend of the season, who has the pace. Then you have one jump start, or you cut the white line, but the trend is there. If you're qualifying in the front row, then it means that you have the pace.
Yeah, so Mitchell Green and Jan Bernier are both on that trend. Green's had 2 wins and a second. Bernier's had 2 seconds and a third. So they're both going to be watching each other, aren't they? And it gets to the point where it's almost who is the first to blink. Yeah,
it is. And then championship is a long run, and then you need consistency. So some days you need to take P4 as a good result, and then the next race you fight for the win again. But it's those P4s that do you upset, do you lose your concentration, and you try to go for a, let's say, desperate move, that then it ended up with the DNF. So those are the things that makes the championships and show if you have the mental strength and the head is always there. Because if you lose the concentration a bit, you do a desperate move, it may cost you a championship.
Jan Bernier has just gone quickest, so Bernier's just edged. As we're talking about championship permutations, we've got our championship front runners on the front row together as the checker flag comes out. Let's see if Green can be denied by anybody else being on the front row. He'd be disappointed if he is nudged back to row 2 with his rival Bernier having taken the pole.
It is similar stuff like yesterday. He had the provisional pole, and then coming into the pits, he lost it.
Interesting. So, of course, the difference is yesterday the person who beat him was not a championship rival, so they chose to sit behind him in the race. We're fine, everything's cool. Now it's Jan Bernier. Now you've got to have a conversation, haven't you, about what do we do? And they know they're going to have slightly fresher tyres. Actually, let me check the lap count, because we can check the lap count on our timing system here and see. Yeah, Mitchell Green did his fast lap on lap 3. Jan Bernier's done his fast lap on lap 5. Now, Bernier might have done more slow warm-up laps and not cooked the tyres, but I suspect he's had 3 cracks at the lap time. So, in theory, Mitchell Green's got a couple of lap advantage, but it's not that simple. Chuck Whittle with the wonderful chrome colour scheme coming round to trigger the timing line one last time, and he does look like he's full throttle through here. So, Whittle currently P4. Can he move up from there? Down to the bottom and then up towards the top. Won't be picking up a toe quite yet from the car in front as he comes around towards the start-finish line. Look for Whittle in the ladder on the left-hand side, whether or not he goes up. No, checker flag, plus 2.34, so he stays in P4. There we go. Everybody is round except for Cleveland is yet to take the checker. There we go. Applause in the paddock. So the team are asking him, Jan, is that your first pole? That's cool, isn't it? We'll find out from Bernier.
Another great qualifying session. We had one car stopping on turn 5, but managed to get going. One car going a bit slower on the banking area, but no yellow flags for longer time, and a clean session for everybody.
We just don't want to repeat of yesterday, though, do we, Tony? Where qualifying was ever so clean, wasn't it? And come the race, it wasn't quite so.
I think our drivers have learned their lessons.
Yeah.
I think today will be a great day.
Yeah, me too. We were saying the same on the car on the way in this morning. It was like, you know, if you haven't had the laps you were expecting, you maybe haven't had the chance to make the passes because you've been sat behind. And then the people that have made the passes and it's gone wrong will go, okay, I need to be more sure that I can get through. So we'll find out later on today. Make sure you do join us for the race shows later. Jan Bernier climbing out the car. We're going to find out shortly if it is his first pole, because I think he'll be very excited if it is. Bernier with the pole. 2 fingers up. He's very happy with that indeed, as are the team. Great job late in the session. Nicked it off the championship leader and his main rival, Mitchell Green. So it'll be Green versus Bernier on the run to turn 1 later on today at the front of Coppa Shell. Really looking forward to seeing that. In the background, you can see where Casa Ferrari is up on that balcony with a wonderful view. I can't think of another full-size racetrack where you can watch all of the action like you can here. Quick hug there from Nina Jade as well. Bernier looking very happy. Let's take a look at the results from the session. Jan Bernier, right at the end of the session, steals the pole by 25 thousandths of a second from his title rival Mitchell Green. Then it's Bruce Cleveland, Chuck Whittle, Brad Evans, John Viscup, who we saw going slowly earlier in the session, Gary Ott and John Lennon, Brian Waltersdorf, Osvaldo Gallo, Henry Hummel, Andrew Parker, Alberto Duran, Jarrett Billercheck, who made some brilliant passes yesterday, and Brent Holden. And the rest of the drivers have set no time in that session. So Bernier with the pole is down with Nina Jade now.
Jan Bernier, podium finish yesterday and your first ever pole today. Congratulations, my friend. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty relieved, finally. The monkey's off the back, as they say.
Exactly. Talk us through that lap. Did you know it was the one?
Well, I knew it was good going into the bus stop and just tried to brake as late as possible without losing the car, and then back to power early, and it just went through and launched. So I could feel it gaining time all the way to start finish, so it felt pretty good.
How are you feeling about the race later?
I feel pretty good about the race. I have really good race pace. If we get through the first few turns cleanly, I think probably Mitchell and I having a battle to the end.
Yeah, good. Go well.
There we go. It is his first ever pole, so that's fantastic. Both drivers, isn't it, with their first ever pole? I think Shell AM and Shell.
Yeah, that's great to see. It's a great demonstration of the continuous work each driver does to improve their skills, and some happy drivers after first 2 qualifying sessions, and next is Pirelli AM.
Indeed, there is Jan Bernier with a super slow-mo up through turn 3, the international horseshoe. The monkey is off the back. There is a confidence thing about whether or not you can do it. Once you've done it, you sometimes see drivers do it again and again because I know I can do this. I know I can go quicker.
Yeah, this is true. It happens also in the top level of motorsport. You have drivers that are struggling to find the last details, the last tenths or hundredths of a second, and then once it happens, something happens also in the mind of a driver. It might be things that you don't recognize so well, but suddenly the performance is there, the consistency is there, you do actually less mistakes, and you are even faster on track. So this is also the interesting aspect of motorsport. It is about the car, it is about the driver, but it's also about the mental strength behind the wheels, and to know that I can do it.
Confidence is everything. It really is. So much of a lap time is in a driver's head. It really is. And do you know what? It's the same in so many sports now. You'd be very unlikely to find a top athlete who hasn't visited a sports psychologist, and that will sound mad to some people at home, but the reality is so much of it's a head game. It's the little look before the start of the 100-meter race at the Olympics, isn't it? It's the confidence that you need at the World Championships, the confidence you need at the point the championship is at that pivotal moment. That's the point where you've got your head game right and somebody else hasn't. I love it.
Yeah, this is true. I just feel that if I would visit one, they would leave the room. So. So
Tony, there's nothing we can do for you.
So I think in my occasion it's a waste of time, but overall I do agree with you.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's really prevalent in recent years. That is Jay Logan in the number 70. Can't beat just a good old Ferrari livery, can you?
It's true as well. I personally like the traditional colors of Ferrari, which is the red. Obviously, even our Formula One team is sometimes changing which kind of red to use in the race car, but the very traditional Ferrari colors I do like a lot. For example, Risi Competizione often runs the Ferrari car with a very traditional livery. This year a bit different with the collaboration of Dragon Speed in GT3 racing, but the Ferrari of Risi almost always demonstrates the very traditional colors.
Yeah, stunning. Joe Rubbo coming through. Now, yesterday Rubbo was the pole man ahead of Sebastian Mascaro, who's in the black and gold coloured car, who you saw on his rollout lap a few moments ago. They'll bang in a couple of reasonable laps here, bring those Pirellis up to temperature, and then we can expect to see the timing screen start lighting up. And who's going to get the purple lap time, the fastest lap time in the session? Christopher Cagnazzi, who yesterday I think was our winner, wasn't he, in the end? Yes, he was. Just having a quick look down at my notes.
Yeah, Joe Rubbo yesterday had a very good qualifying, but then a bit messy race. He had some issues going into bus stop, and he lost the lead of the race. So he's one of the drivers who wants to repeat the great performance in qualifying, but then to improve in the race.
Tony, Ray Acosta we just saw, and it's not that long ago that he was out in track in a very different vehicle. So how is it jumping between the two different cars? Obviously he has the advantage of some extra track time, but it can be hard.
Yeah, so Ray Acosta is a great example of our drivers in Ferrari Challenge getting experience and then getting even more hungrier to do more. So he's doing laps already in a GT3 car. He's doing the preparation together with my friend Marco Bonanomi. And together Marco as race driver coach, they are preparing for maybe some races also in GT3, trying to decide in which championship, but alongside with his Ferrari Challenge program, he's very active here in US but also in Europe, and then there will be some races with GT3, and this is what Ferrari's ladders are made for. Corso Pilota, where you get the first touch with the race car, then you can do Club Challenge or either Club Competizione GT, and then racing in US or worldwide with Ferrari Challenge, and then you have the world of GT racing is open for you, and you are well prepared for any kind of racing.
Jay Logan passing Michael Porter. That's Porter with the 22 coming up now. Has he had a door change? He has, yeah, the door change on the right-hand side. That will be from yesterday. There was some action, let's say, out on track. There's an amazing Ferrari parts truck here, which has all the bits the teams need to make the running repairs through the course of the weekend. Obviously, we're expecting there to be some action out on track. And they have everything they need to build a whole car, they told me in Sonoma. They said, we've got a whole car in here as spares. They didn't have a whole car by the end of the week in Sonoma because we had a long pre-season test at Sonoma. And I imagine the truck went home with better miles per gallon than it came down with, because a lot of the parts had gone out to the teams. But the drivers are all having such an amazing time. It's par for the course.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit more calm approach from our Pirelli AM drivers. So we are halfway to the session and we are still missing real lap times. So this is a process of what we mentioned earlier, of waiting for those tire pressures to come up in the right window, and also having the right temperature of the surface of the tire, and then you're ready to go. Otherwise you may overheat the surface early on, and then the peak with the pressure and performance doesn't meet in the best possible way. So drivers with a little bit more experience being patient early on and then posting those lap times in the coming 6 minutes.
Watch Joe Rubbo here as he comes over the start-finish line. Yesterday's pole time was a 1:44.860. Nobody's down into those lap times yet. As Tony said, now we're starting to see some serious attempts, hopefully. He's high on the banking at a 1:47.6. So still some 3 seconds of pace to find for these guys. I'd suggest weather's pretty similar to yesterday, isn't it, in terms of track temperature and wind?
Yeah, having seen the first 2 sessions before Pirelli AM, I would say that the speed and the lap time should be really, really similar. We've been into 1/10 or 2/10 from yesterday's lap time, so similar track condition.
Yeah, we were looking at Mascaro a moment ago, who was in amongst it in the black and gold car towards the front of this pack. It's gone quickest. Duran's gone quickest. The driver you're looking at now, so Rafael Duran has just gone quickest on this lap with a 1:46.1. That's only 1.3 off yesterday's quickest lap time, but there would have been 7 or 8 drivers ahead of you if that was yesterday. So I still think we can expect to see those times come down. Now, interestingly, Ernst Kirchmeier has just come in at 0.1 of a second, 0.188 of a second off the top time. So good for Kirchmeier. He's been moved up a category. I'm not going to lie, I'd love to see him take it to this category as well. That would be great, because it's moving him up overnight. You know, he won yesterday. I think he would have liked another session, wouldn't he, in Coppa Shell. He's in Pirelli AM. Go on, Ernst, get stuck in.
Yeah, for sure. We want to see our drivers to do well, and a little change of plan for the weekend from Saturday to Sunday to be moved up a category. We can see now a little bit of traffic on track. We were with Duran on his next flyer, and he's running into some traffic in the bus stop area. So at this key moment, it's very important to have also a clear lap.
Rubbo's gone quickest, 1:45.5, 7/10 off his time from yesterday. You're looking at Chris Cagnazzi, who's P2.4 off him. Cagnazzi, yesterday's winner. Here is Rubbo. Is he on another push lap or not? Let's listen to the engine tone on the exit 3. I would suggest he is on another push lap there. Runs right the way out to the lines on the outside. Mustn't get too much rotation and cook the rears, but likewise wants pole. While he's pushing hard through the kink at 4.
Yeah, you could already see into turn 3, he was really fighting the car under braking. Some movement with the car, but a good reaction, good turn in with the race car. And he's also running into some traffic. So
yeah,
in the driver's head, you know your opponent. So you are really hoping that the driver in front of you has a similar speed, and then you can use the famous slipstream. If you have a driver that is a bit slower and you cannot hit your braking points as you should normally on a flying lap, then you lose time.
Brad Forver, who you're looking at, has just been edged by Ray Acosta for P8. But yeah, I was interested to see what would have happened with Rubbo catching on the banking. You know, did he manage to... Say, if you get a tow at the right point and then can sneak in at the bus stop, the trouble is you're probably going to compromise your entrance and then the exit. So Rubbo is at the top of the timesheets at the moment and will be completing his lap shortly. Kirchmeier still P2, 0.2 of a second off. This is Kirchmeier with his new race number, the number 21 on the car, and I would suggest Kirchmeier's rolled off, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he has slowed down. He almost repeated his yesterday's lap time. Yesterday 1:45.62, today 1:45.79. He's currently in P2, and as I said, now he's moved to P3.
Yeah, he has. Balkinson has just gone ahead, and Mascaro goes to the top. Sebastian Mascaro goes to pole, 1:45.23 quicker. Now Rubbo, Forver has gone to the top, so it's all happening. Rubbo to P2, Balkinson to P3, so they're in traffic. And some of those guys will have had a tow, I reckon, at that point, crossing the line so close together. Brad Forver has moved up. We were seeing him in the 66 car earlier on. I think this is him now coming down into the hairpin. It is, so Brad Forver is in pole with a 1:45.1, and that's only 3/10 off yesterday's time. That might well be enough. But there's a minute 29 to go, and the top 9 drivers are separated by a second. This is a great qualifying session for Pirelli AM.
Yeah, this is very beautiful showdown of their talent and their skill, but also what we mentioned, that in the last half of the qualifying session, so after the last 6 minutes, everything has really started to light up on the timing and scoring, and every lap it changes, even on the top standings.
Omar Balkasoon you're looking at here, wasn't with us in Sonoma last round, first round of the year. So he's Balkasoon on a push lap, comes past down, FX camera up on the wall, going to go into the bus stop now. And he's caught traffic So this isn't ideal, is it? He needs a good exit. It could work in his favour, depending on if he's been held up on the brakes. Tony, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he lost time, but there's a chance to get the slipstream now, but he would need to get in front of the driver going into turn 1, and it's a bit tricky because he's about to launch himself to a last lap, and I think he's backing off.
Yeah, I think he's backed off too. He has. So I wondered if he would take the slipstream the whole way to the line and see if he could nick it. But if he knows he was compromised on the run into bus stop, maybe not. Chris Cagnazzi comes around for P8. And our timing screen has little arrows on it here that go green and red, where the people are going up and down. And literally that one lap, 5 green arrows appeared at the top, didn't they? And just boom. Everybody was moving down, but at the minute it's Favre from Rubo, as you guys can see at home. Balkissoon, Kirchmeier, looking at Jay Logan now. So Logan is down in P7. Is Logan still pushing? I think he might be listening to the tone. He's coming out through turn 6 and on the run down the back straight. And this is Kirchmeier, I think, is it? It is, yeah, it's Kirchmeier. I'm sure it is with the 21 or so. So he's changed numbers overnight. And I think he's done well, considering he was pole in the Let's see as he comes up over the line. Can he go any quicker? No, checker flags out. He's 0.6 off. So Ernst Kirchmeier, I'm impressed with that. He was pole yesterday in Shell. And to be moved up to Pirelli AM and immediately to be on the front 2 rows, I think that's a good showing, Tony.
Yeah, good performance from him. And yesterday he was super happy, talking about bucket list, meaning that this was one of his dreams to race in Daytona. Yesterday, pole position and win, and today he was moved up to Pirelli AM, and he's showing his pace again, matching his time from yesterday. So good performance.
Yeah, I was just looking to see that. What did he do yesterday? Kirchmeier, P5. Okay, he ends up P5, 1:45.7. What did he do yesterday?
He did
1:45.6.
Yeah,
Yes, so very close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goes to show you, doesn't it? It's tough for the organisers to pick who's in what category, and they've made a decision to move him up. Well, okay. Maybe Kirchmeier went to them and said, "I'm done with that category now. I've done it. I've taken the pole." Didn't he get the fastest lap as well? I think he did, didn't he? So maybe Kirchmeier said, "I've had the pole, the fastest lap, and the win. I want to go up a class. Let's see if we can do it again." But either way, it's going to be great to see him racing. And Balkissoon is up in. Kirchmeier actually ends up 6. So it is Favre with the pole. Mascaro second. Rubo, yesterday's poleman, third. Balkissoon, Logan, and Kirchmeier your top 6.
But again, very close. Everybody. So just a small differences.
Better just race better than yesterday, man. Just race better than yesterday.
Oh, good save on the helmet. That is, let me tell you, that is an expensive piece of kit. Good catch. That's as good a catch as being in the top 3, that is. That would have been not ideal, to say the least. You can see Nina Jade is lining up our pole man. Yeah, let's go down and have a chat with Nina Jade and our pole sitter. Great job.
Brad Favre, very strong weekend in Sonoma, and now you're pole at Daytona. How are you feeling? How was that session?
Yeah, that was a great lap. This is a rental car I got kind of hit and taken out in turn 1 yesterday, which was too bad. I was in P3, P2, so feels really good. It felt like a great lap. Really happy with the team to get that car ready really quickly, and it's doing great, so happy.
For anyone who missed it, Brad said this is a rental car, and it's done you very well, Brad.
Yeah, I like the rental. I should just rent from now on.
How are you feeling about the race?
It's great. You just take it easy to start and see how we settle in, and we'll go from there.
Best of luck.
All right, cheers. Thank you.
There's a great saying that you might be familiar with, which is "Don't be gentle, it's a rental," which is, as a general rule, is reserved for rental cars. Of course, I've been extremely careful with my rental car here. My credit card's against it, that's why. But what a great drive by Brad Favre in a different car to yesterday. Of course, 296 Challenge cars are all the same, but likewise, it's not your car, and there's a certain feeling when it's your car, the car that you're familiar with. And he's got it done. He's on the pole. He'd be very happy with that indeed. He might well end up buying that one instead. Brad Favre with the pole from Sebastian Mascaro and Joe Rubo. Then it's Omar Balkissoon, Jay Logan, Ernst Kirchmeier moving up a category and still P6, row 3. Dave Musial and Ophir Levy. Christopher Cagnazzi, yesterday's winner, is in 9th. Gerdas Venslovas. Then it's Cruz, Duran, Acosta, Stewart and Bergeron. Brad Favre with the pole. Nicely done.
Yeah, and also impressive to change cars overnight and then meaning that his driving was ready. He was going for it, and the car underneath him was doing the things he asked for, and then he was able to do the pole position. Impressive.
He hasn't even broken a sweat either. And I know he'd be listening down there because they can hear the PA system. So, there's not a bead of sweat on the man. I think that was a good performance.
Yeah, good preparation.
You've been out there wrestling it. You come in sweaty, don't you? Sometimes you come in and I'm like, I'm really worn out. And then somebody say to you, just calm it down. Just calm it down.
Yeah, but when things work inside the race car, it actually you're less
less
tired.
effort.
It's less effort. It's the times where you really need to find your fight with your race car when it takes the energy out of you. So.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
And before the interview, we could hear Joe Rubo saying, today I better race
Yeah.
in a good way, because yesterday he had the pole, but the race itself wasn't that good. And today he's hoping to do the opposite. I mean, P3 is still good, and then to race a clean and solid race to have a good result.
Right, Dylan Medler means business because he was first in pit road. So he's gone out. He wants clear track in front of him. Medler took the lead in the championship yesterday, I think by 1 point, if I remember correctly, from Massimo Perina. I saw Perina this morning. He was all smiles, him and his dad. They're having a good weekend, obviously, and he's looking forward to the action today. I said to Medler, I hope we have cleaner racing today. He goes, I loved yesterday. And I was like, of course, yeah, you won. So there's that, the mixed emotions, aren't there, for the drivers who didn't get the results they wanted because of, a few stoppages and so on, and those drivers who were very happy indeed. I think the other thing to remember here is there's only 9 odd cars out on track, so you have so much more space. Yeah, these guys can all space themselves out and get a bit of road time if they want.
Yeah, we have 9 cars in Pirelli, but it's shaping up very nicely. We have a mix of experience, speed, and then the youth with the will to show and be aggressive. Yesterday we saw Johnny Kaminsky's pace. We saw his pole position, the youngest ever pole sitter in Ferrari Challenge, only 16 years old. Dylan Medler has already experience under his belt in US and Europe. Massimo Perina moved from last year's 488 car that he was still racing into 296. So we have these drivers that are really showing the pace, and is forming a fight between these two. So maybe not 20 cars on track, but still the quality.
That's what,
and it's very exciting to see.
It's really close between
And who's
them.
on the form today? Yesterday we saw Kaminsky's lap time. What about Dylan today? What about Massimo Perina today? Can they match his pace from yesterday?
Yeah,
Who's taking the slipstream?
Should
I stay in front? I let you by. Which place I take on track. So all these things come into play more in a category like Pirelli.
So that's what Massimo Perina was talking to me about today. He said, I learned so much about passing with drafting yesterday. And we were kind of like, look, and here is Perina now. We were like, I don't really think they've had enough time to learn anything. Massimo was all smiles this morning. He's like, I know what's up. And I said to him, can you pass on the run up to bus stop? And this was when he said, yeah, you can, but he said because of the reprofiling of the corners and the sausage curbs, it's harder now to pass on the way into bus stop, he felt, than it was with the historic track layout. Here is Johnny Kaminsky, 16 years old, and spoke with his dad overnight, and we knew there was some sort of a problem, didn't we, Tony? Because he had a help. Perina had been having that brilliant battle with Medler, and Kaminsky had basically checked out. He had a couple of seconds, and then suddenly, boom, they were on him.
Yeah, he kept losing pace. We wasn't sure if it was something braking related or was it something else, and we did find out that it was related to traction control, which was not releasing the car in acceleration. Obviously a great move from Dylan Medler, but it was also allowing Dylan to challenge Johnny into kink because he couldn't get a clear run coming out of 3. So yeah, Johnny had a great start for the race. Then just before full course yellow, he lost all the lead he had. And then I actually think that for him, the full course yellows played a little bit for his side, and P3 was like damage limitation from yesterday.
Absolutely, yeah. We were talking about that this morning over breakfast, weren't you? You were saying that with the problem with the car, actually the full course yellows, he could have ended up a lot further down. He'll still be disappointed. You want to convert pole to win, but you don't get to do that first time out necessarily. So let's see what lap these guys are on. I'm pretty sure it's still just their first flying lap. It is indeed. We're waiting for their first quick times to come through. And there it is, Kaminsky 1:45.9. McCarthy just less than 100th of a second behind.
Yeah, Jason McCarthy has taken the place behind yesterday's pole sitter, so his benchmark is just in front of him, trying to match Johnny Kaminsky's pace.
We're on board now with Johnny Kaminsky. Into the kink up at turn 4, over the curbs on the left-hand side. Big braking zone now, down into turn 5, so in towards the apex.
Very tight, you stay on top of the inside curb. Little lift going into the kink. You approach so fast with these 296 challenge cars to turn number 4. But on board videos for me as a driver is always great to see, because you see how the driver is actually executing the lines and what he's doing on track. So
you see the inputs too, don't you? You know, so it was sometimes as announcers we're having to guess at stuff. Obviously, we've only got the same pictures you guys have got at home, so we have a guess at something. But occasionally, you can just see something with the hands that will give away to you what the issue is. Occasionally, you see that through. I love it when you see it through the windshield. Sometimes you can see a driver, especially if they're wearing brightly coloured gloves. You can see how many inputs they're making into a car. As you see Medler on the back straight. So look at this. Look at the nose of the car. One input on the brakes. One turn in, super smooth through bus stop, really nicely executed.
Yeah, with the track racing, with the racetrack, tarmac, smooth is always faster. Even with Formula 1 drivers, you see the winning drivers using the steering wheel very smoothly. You need to be quick, obviously, with the reactions, but fighting the car in a way that you take it to its limit, but not fighting with the sideways understeer, oversteer. That rarely is the fastest way to do it. So smooth is often the fastest.
Kaminsky's 1:44.1. He's only about a tenth and a half of his time from yesterday. Medler's just banged in a quick lap as well. Just 2/10 behind. Then McCarthy, Dave Musial Jr. Pirina. Massimo Pirina, 1:43.999. It's the first time we've seen a 1:43 lap time, I think, this weekend. I don't think we saw that in the practice lap. So the track's nice and clean. It's not green anymore. It'll be rubbered in places, and that is a great lap.
Yeah, that is an awesome lap. I was expecting yesterday to go under 1:44, and all the top 3 drivers deciding to do their lap time alone, have a clear track in front of them. Massimo Pirina, Johnny Kaminsky, and Dylan Medler, all on their own. And yeah, after the first flying laps, it's on Massimo Pirina, P1.
Yeah, good stuff. Gray Falva in the 97. Black and silver car out at the far side of the track again. You also saw Roberto Pirina, that is Massimo's uncle. What a place. I found myself saying that so many times this weekend, what a place. It's just cool, Daytona. If you get the chance to come here, even if you're just over in Florida on a vacation, just come and check out the venue. They do daily tours of the place, and it's just really cool. You know, it's done right. It really is done right. Late on the brakes, runs out wide, just locks the wheel in, can see immediately, then can't get the car into the apex. So
yeah, I should have taken you for a hot lap around.
yes, we do need to do that. When can we do that?
Next time.
Okay, perfect. I'll let you arrange that. I'm bang up for that, mate. Absolutely fantastic. I'd love to. Dave Musial Jr. 1.3 off in P6. That's a good lap time, though. So the question is, has anybody gone into the pits? Ethan McWilliams doesn't appear to have set a lap yet, so McWilliams either waiting or not going to run in the session. Tony Davis has only done a warm-up lap from the looks of things. 1:43.7. Pirina knocks another couple of tenths off the lap time. So Massimo Pirina is throwing down here big time. 1:43.782.
Wow, this is almost similar performance we saw last year. He was dominating with the 488 challenge car, and I think he's starting to be in a top form. Good performance in Sonoma, but this is already something different.
He said this morning he'd learnt about drafting and passing. The only reason he's going to need to put that into action is to protect his position at the moment, because he's at the top of the timesheets.
I think it's the omelette with mushroom he ordered this morning.
Yes, is that the answer? Right. If the chef's still there, I'm going to go and grab one. That'll speed up the run later to the airport. We can go for a P1.
Yeah, minus 3/10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jason McCarthy's out at the minute, sitting in P4. 4.9 of a second off. Still nobody showing in the pits, so I wonder if we're seeing any drivers on cruise laps or not. Looking to put in one last one. Last lap's 1:43.7. I wouldn't have said so necessarily. What's your thoughts, Tony? Is that game over with 2 minutes 30 to go? I know we can't predict it completely, but...
Yeah, I would say that Massimo's performance is a little bit on the different level now, so maybe for Johnny and Dylan it would be ideal to try to save those tires at this point. But at the same time, it's the drivers on board who know if they got more performance. But
this is Kaminski from turn 3. A bit of dust flies up at the outside from a previous car. He's rolled off big time. So this is... there we go. That's what the dust was from. That's Perina. Roberto Perina is backed over by the tyre wall. Looks like he might have kept it out of the wall.
I think it's at the bus stop.
Okay. So with 1 minute and 54 to go, let's have a look at a replay of what happened there. It is the bus stop. Tony Verlander with the good eyes comes in to... Well, first, curb.
Yeah, just upset the car over the curb, and he did touch the tire barrier. So the entry curb upset the car, and the bouncing of the car sort of never stopped. And he already asked the car to turn right while it was still settling down. So it was that initial curb that upset Roberto Perina's car.
We might be able to have another look at it, I think, Tony. We're just seeing if we can pull it back up. Massimo Perina is in pit lane, and with 1 minute 16 to go, if his uncle's car isn't recovered or doesn't drive off, that will be session over anyway. So
yeah, I think we have a clear track.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming this is almost the final standings now.
Yeah.
Massimo's in the pits.
Medler's in. This is Dave Musial Jr. We're going to have one more look at the replay. Here we go. Tony, talk us through this. So this is coming down.
Late braking, turning into bus stop, taking that curb, and you can see front and rear kept bouncing. And obviously he had to ask from the race car to turn right very quickly. That change of direction after the initial curb happens very fast, and the car was just not settled. He probably carried more speed, wanted to improve his lap time, and one of the places where to do it is just trying to increase the entry speed combined with the entry curb, and it was a bit too much.
It was indeed. He did the right thing, jumped on the brakes, and that's all you can do. Once it's gone, you got. If you stay on the brake, you can maybe kick the car out the wall. He just needed another 5 or 6 meters, 20 or 25 feet, and he would have got away with it. But there we go, not this time. So cars are cruising in. Checker flag is out. Our main contenders are in the pits and done. Who's this still out on a push lap out at the back of the circuit? It's Gray Falvera. So Gray is still pushing 2.0 off the top time, but Williams never set a time, so Gray Falvera may be looking for a last-minute lap time here. Got Tony Davis and Dave Musial Jr. just 6/10 in front. The flag's out, so he's either going to peel off to the left now and go pits, or he's going to run it up high and try and take the lap time. Here we go. So last ditch attempt from Gray Falvera. Can he make any headway up the leaderboard over the start-finish line? And checker flag, no, unfortunately not quicker this time round. So quickest lap was earlier on in the session. Massimo Perina looking suitably chill. That is Massimo Perina's third pole of the year. He took both pole positions down in Sonoma, managed to convert the second one after a penalty in race number 1, but he was all smiles when I saw him this morning. Yes, Massimo, good job. And that was 2 outstanding laps. Went 1:43.9, then 1:43.7. He's the only driver to dip under 1:44, and that is enough for pole here at race 2 in Daytona.
That session, talk us through it.
Just went a little bit later and deeper everywhere and trusted the car a little more, and it worked. I mean, the team did an incredible job to get it set up, and it just worked everywhere I needed it to.
How do you feel about the race?
Excited and ready.
You got this. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
There we go. Short and sweet, like his lap.
Yeah, great performance, but body language on Massimo is a little bit different this year. He can feel the competition is there. Last year he was the dominating driver in the the 488 car. So here we see maybe a little bit less celebration, mindset and the focus is already into the race. You need to nail every aspect. If you do a little mistake, beat the rules. If you lose the lead, it's very difficult to come back. While last year he could always bounce back and do a big difference with his driving skills. Now the competition is there, so you can see a little difference in mindset as well.
There we are, Massimo Perina posing for some photos, having taken the pole here at Daytona. His results from qualifying of Trofeo Pirelli. It's race number 4 of the season, weekend number 2 doubleheader. Massimo Perina takes his third pole position of the year from Johnny Kaminsky. Yesterday's pole sitter is just 0.3 of a second off. Dylan Medler, the championship leader and last year's champion, is in P3. That is going to be an absolutely fantastic race. There's Jason McCarthy, Roberto Perina, Tony Davis, David Muziel Jr. and Gray Falva are your top 8. Ethan McWilliams didn't set a time in the session. Perina, 3 poles. Can he convert that into a win and take the lead of the championship back? He had it when we left Sonoma, and I'm sure he'd like it when we leave Daytona as well. We're in for some great racing later on today. Thank you to Nina Jade Paul down in the pits. Tony Villander alongside me. Excellent as always. My name's Andrew Coley. 12:40 Eastern Time. If you'd like to join us for the races this afternoon, it would be a fantastic bit of action from Daytona. We hope to see you then.